KZRG News Time, 747 on the live line. We have Senator Roy Blunt. Good morning, Senator.
Hey, morning, guys. How are you all this morning?
Doing well, thank you, sir. I want to talk a little bit about the elephant in the room, obviously, is Ebola. Let's talk about it. And let's talk about the safety and curtailing these flights from Africa. Where do you stand on that?
Well, I think we should. First of all, we don't have any flights from that part of Africa. I think we should suspend the visas that have been issued for people from those impacted countries that have to come here. So no matter where you get on a plane, whether it's Paris or Brussels or where else you've been on a plane to the United States, when you get off that plane, you have to have a visa in your hand that says you can come to the United States from any of those countries. I think we should suspend the ones that have been issued and not issue any others until we figure out how to, for sure, that the airlines and our border system has this under control. That wouldn't prevent American healthcare workers from coming back, but it would prevent people from the country who aren't there for a purpose that we've initiated to come into the country, and even healthcare workers coming back. Obviously, we have to be very careful about that because the goal here, both in Africa and anybody that has this problem here, is to keep this as contained as possible until you get it under control.
Why is it that we have to have an Ebola czar instead of letting HHS handle the situation?
You know, I've never really, in all of these cases, been nearly as eager to call for somebody to resign as I have for the president to do his job. You know, the president needs to be engaged here. Somebody reporting directly to the president has to be responsible, and that could have been any number of people. Actually, the person they chose is more of a political fixer. That's his expertise. He's prepped the president for debate prep. He's been the vice president's chief of staff. Clearly somebody that has the capability, but I think the president's choice of him shows that once again, the president thinks this is more of a political job than it is and a PR job than it is a job of actually being sure that somebody who understands management and healthcare is totally focused on getting this under control.
So the CDC director not doing a good job. Do you think some of this falls on the president for not managing the CDC?
Well, the CDC director at least has said that they understand they've made some mistakes, and they have. But yes, I think the president's job is to run the government, and I don't think this would be as much concern to people if it was the only place where the government didn't appear to be well managed. But it comes on top of the IRS and the Secret Service and kids at the border and one thing after another where nobody seems to be managing the government in an effective way. And I think as people are evaluating this, this is not just a unique moment where something seemed to go wrong. It's a government where nobody appears to be interested in being in charge. And I think that is a good explanation and a reasonable reason for people to have the level of concern they have about this.
Well, I think it was interesting over the weekend. You had the Carnival cruise ship that tried to dock in Belize, tried to dock in Mexico. They were turned away both times. It's interesting. The Mexicans are able to keep Ebola out of their country because they closed off, well, technically that border from that cruise ship. Why is it we can't get our borders closed here in the United States?
Well, I thought that was interesting, too. I had sort of the same reaction you did. Well, the people from Belize don't want to take any chance that this comes to their country. You know, if we handle this properly, we had 2 missionaries come back. I don't know anybody in Southwest Missouri that wouldn't want missionaries to come back and get the best treatment possible. They were taken care of at Emory University. If everything appeared to be done the way it's supposed to be done, and nobody complained. I said this on Meet the Press yesterday. It's only when people don't seem to be doing their job that Americans get concerned that people aren't doing their job. When this was being handled the right way, no American said, we don't want the missionaries to come back and get the best treatment possible. But it's only when the hospital turns people away, when the people at the hospital aren't given the right kind of protective procedures to go through, that the American people appropriately get concerned that they want to see this handled in the right way, and I do too, and I'm going to continue to insist that we do things like suspend these visas so that people who are infected don't come to the country, and we need to insist that that the government get this under control.
Exactly right. You know, the Thomas Eric Duncan situation could have been prevented entirely.
I think that's right. I think that's exactly right.
Well, we got an election.
And should have been prevented.
We've got.
He came to the hospital 2 times before they sent him home the first time, and who knows how many people he talked to and saw and spent time with during that particular period of time where he had been at the hospital, and the hospital, a guy who had come from West Africa who had been with a Ebola patient, and they sent him back home, was a huge mistake. And I think the Dallas Presbyterian Hospital is admitting that and other things they've done were not done the way they should have been done.
Very scary. Senator, Election Day, it's coming up quickly, and the Senate, the Republicans have a chance. What do you think the chances are of taking control?
Well, I think the chances are better than not. I think they're about at least 60-40 that Republicans will take control. And 2 of the reasons are that people don't think the federal government is doing the right job of defending the country, and they don't think that the president is running the government the way the government ought to be run. You know, in post-World War II America, those were 2 areas that Republicans always had the advantage with voters: who can run the government better and who can defend the country better. And I think the president has done an incredible job of handing those 2 issues back to us. And the 3rd issue that Republicans are way ahead on is who can do a better job with the economy. And those are going to be the 3 principal things I think people are thinking about when they go to the polls this year. And that should help produce a Republican majority. And then Republicans have to show that they can do a better job and want to do a better job making the government work where it should work and getting the government out of areas that the federal government shouldn't be in.
Senator, thank you for your time today.
Hey, great to talk to you. Look forward to being with you soon.